Louis Kealoha, it looks as though the federal case, he's going to have to pay $455,000 in restitution. He has a pension where every month he gets $9,700, of which $7,000 will be garnished for restitution. What are your thoughts on the sentencing? And then what are your thoughts on like the restitution that's being garnished from his pension?
I actually believe that the sentencing was completely fair and deserved. I know I've heard a lot of people say, why is Catherine Kealoha only getting 13 years? But what people have to understand is we have the sentencing guidelines in the federal justice system, and that is what guides the judges in sentencing a defendant. And in the District of Hawaii, rarely, if ever, have I seen a district court judge go above the sentencing guideline. And in this instance, Judge Seabright did just that. He went over the sentencing guideline and gave the reasons which were very substantiated reasons for sentencing the Kealohas to more than what was recommended.
Yeah, the enhanced sentencing, which I was happy to see.
I think it was deserved, and I think it was appropriate and proper. It's not like state court where you're looking at 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, and then the judge is just stuck with sentencing you to that amount of time. The offense guidelines calculations in the federal system is a little bit more complicated than that. And it is a suggestion to the district court judge that the defendant should get a certain range of months. And Judge Seabright went over that or not way over, but he went over the recommended sentence.
Yeah, awesome. And then you have a degree in accounting, and there's also there's the $455,000 that was like restitution for the federal cases. There's also the $250,000 golden parachute payment that was given to Louis Kealoha simply to go away and not sue the state after he got like fired. So what do you think is going to happen with the initial payment and then the 250 that's floating around that isn't going to be garnished apparently?
So the restitution is, of course, very appropriate. You know, Grandma Puana and Uncle Gerard Puana suffered during that civil trial. I actually sat there and watched it. And I mean, if people don't know, what happened was Grandma and Uncle sued Catherine Kealoha because she stole money from Grandma's reverse mortgage.
Yeah.
And in turn, Catherine Kealoha sued Grandma and Uncle back and said, well, no, I didn't steal your money. And in fact, you stole my money and you owe me money. And she testified in that civil trial, and the jury just loved her. And so they found in her favor, and they found that Grandma and Uncle owed her money. And so what happened was Grandma lost her home because she had to pay that judgment amount. And, you know, it was completely unfair, but that's Catherine Kealoha. You know, she could convince that whole jury that she did nothing wrong. Well, then we go fast forward to the criminal trial, and the criminal attorney, Assistant United States Attorney Michael Wheat, you know, is a much better investigator than the civil attorneys. And so he finds that Catherine Kealoha put forth fake evidence and fraudulent evidence in the civil case. And so he tries to put that into the criminal case as evidence. And eventually they get the restitution amount that was ordered against them in the civil trial. So it's completely fair. That's exactly what should have happened. I'm glad that Michael Wheat stepped in and obtained that judgment for Grandma and Uncle. And now, yeah, they're gonna garnish Louis' pension because he was part of it. And so I'm not sure why the $250,000 is not being garnished. The city will have to file a judgment in the court and then file a motion for garnishment if it's possible. I'm not sure why they haven't done that.
Yeah, because if he's sentenced to the 7 years, we'll see how much he actually has to serve, but it's going to be approximately 7 years. And shoot, with the amount that he owes and the way that they're garnishing, first, what a nice pension, $9,700 a month, way to go. But then I really feel like the audacity to accept or to negotiate an extra $250,000 at the end, especially after all the stuff that he he had to, and he participated in. How did he get the extra 250? And now the city has to go after that 250. At least we know with the pension, it's there if they choose to try to garnish it, right?
Yeah, you know, that subject is a whole separate podcast and an hour-long podcast of in and of itself, just because the police commission doesn't have teeth. You know, the only person that objected to that $250,000 severance pay was Loretta Sheehan. And subsequent to that payout, she resigned. You know, she completely resigned from that commission. So, you know, the commission needs more teeth. And I'm not sure how that's going to get done if someone's going to push forward for it. But there needs to be a check and balance on HPD. That $250,000 should never have been paid out.
Yeah, I think heads got to roll. That's the only way people got it. Like, I'm happy that there's the target letter to Kaneshiro. I'm happy that people are finally being held accountable, because if it was just business as usual and people got away with stuff like this, I mean, this is big money. $250,000 of taxpayer money to a guy who had already, you know, through his wife or was actually the party, to steal hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is getting ridiculous.
So my understanding is that's the basis for the target letter to Donna Leong.
Yeah.
If people don't know who that is, she was the corporation counsel. The corporation counsel is the lawyer for the city. And so the corporation counsel advises and counsels the city employees, including the police commission and HPD, as to whether or not they were permitted to pay that $250,000 out to Louis Kealoha. And now the corporation counsel, Donna Leong, is being investigated by the federal government.
Yeah, which is awesome, because once again, all feelings, no facts. I'll preface this. This is just the loose talk. Supposedly, we don't even really know where that 250 came from. And if it came from some sort of federal funding, then, oh, wait, now you're involved with the feds, because that was federal money that got paid out illegally to Louis Kealoha. So that's going to be a whole nother media circus if she gets charged. And we're going to have to see what happens with those target letters and the subject letters. I can't wait for people to be held accountable for that. Yeah.
Well, it's happening as we speak, Nick.